gosh, no one ever tells you. Like, I hear teachers say this sometimes. Well-meaning, caring people, just love yourself. Oh my God. I used to hear that all the time, like when I was in my 20s and 30s. You've just got to love yourself. And I'd be like, how? What do you do? What does that mean? Is it like I just go somewhere and I'm done? I love myself, right?
Welcome back to PCOS Unfiltered, where we ditch the one-size-fits-all advice. I'm Lindsie, nurse turned health coach, two-time author, and your body wisdom guide. Here, I help you understand the messages behind your symptoms so you can stop fighting your body and start working with it. Before we jump into today's episode, I want to invite you to join us inside the Healthy Ever After community. It's where this podcast comes to life, with weekly body wisdom tips, recipes, exclusive resources, behind-the-scenes content, conversations with women on the same journey, and monthly challenges with fun giveaways. In fact, we kicked off our very first community challenge this month, and I'd love for you to be part of it. If you're only listening to the podcast, you're missing half the experience. You'll find the link to join the Healthy Ever After community in the show notes. Now, today's guest is Reverend Wendy Silvers, a spiritual teacher, speaker, and founder of the Million Mamas movement. Known as a midwife of consciousness and holy disruptor, Wendy helps women move beyond people-pleasing and external validation so they can reconnect with their inner wisdom, reclaim their voice, and live with greater purpose and authenticity. As always, this podcast is intended for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. Please consult your healthcare provider before making any changes to your diet, exercise, or treatment plan. Now, go ahead and get comfy, maybe grab something so you can take some notes, and let's dive in. Here's my conversation with Reverend Wendy Silvers. Welcome back to the show, and welcome to Reverend Wendy Silvers. So happy to have you here. Let's get started. So, first question. You've spent 25 years at the intersection of trauma-informed parenting, spiritual therapy, and human potential. What have those years shown you about what mothers are actually hungry for beneath all the wellness noise?
Thank you. Well, first of all, it's so nice to be with you. And thank you, Lindsie, for having me on your podcast. What has this shown me? It's so layered. It's really, really layered that before you become a mom, you're a woman, which means you were a girl and a child. So you're bringing all of that to mothering. But so much of the time, what I find is that moms really want to know that they're making the right choices. Mm-hmm. And to know you're making the right choice means you've got to have confidence in your choices and have the presence of mind to discern what is right for you and your children.
Yeah. Oh, and I mean, that starts early on, doesn't it?
Yes.
All those things that kind of get you there. Yeah. So what was it for you? Like what set you on this path?
It's so funny. I love that question. Thank you. And it's so funny. I came into the world just always wanting to be a mother. Like and my name, Wendy, what my parents were deciding what to name me. And somehow I ended up with the name Wendy. And I remember when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I was in college and I was in the laundry room and this woman came up to me. We were chatting and she said her name was Wendy, but she changed it. I was like, why? And she said, because it meant mother of all lost little boys. Now, she was a good decade older than me. And I was like, yeah, well, not my thing. And I was always drawn to children. I used to ask my mother, every holiday season, she would say, what do you want? And I'd be like, a baby sister, or, and she'd be like, well, that's not happening. So I also had a lot of trauma in my childhood. And so I believe it was like this convergence, like all these cooperative components. And I loved spirit. From the time I was a little kid, I was like, aware of a presence around me. I was speaking to trees. So, fast forward, I had a career in the entertainment industry as a publicist, press agent. And my clients, I brought high visibility to celebrities and films and projects. They would always say to me, you'd be such a great manager because of my one-on-one. Like, I was always really wanting to talk to them. So, fast forward, I moved to California. I get on a spiritual path. I moved to California. I become a spiritual therapist, a spiritual teacher, because I believe that when we recognize our divinity, right, which is a big word, but when we remember that we are gifts, we're here, we can shift lives, beginning with ourselves and then our children. And one of my mentors, I didn't end up like, I didn't choose to go into like any of the thing I'm doing. I just happened. I just had people coming to me and asking me questions. Like when I became a mom, that like, and I was pregnant, I would have other mothers coming up to me. So it was just kind of like the cosmic, tumbler or the breadcrumbs led me to do it. And I resisted.
Yeah.
Initially, I was like, I don't know, I want to do this. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, same here. Never imagined I'd be doing any of the stuff I'm doing today,
yeah,
but at the same
yeah,
time, I think it all set me on this path, to get me here.
absolutely.
So, yeah. Um, you founded the Million Mamas movement to empower, educate, and evolve. What was the moment or the pain that told you this couldn't just be one-on-one work anymore, that it had to become a movement?
So that happened right after I was given, I mean, literally, I was given this like
Mm.
inspiration moved across my heart and my mind to do the march, Million Mamas March. And within, I would say, within that month or something, I kept thinking, well, I love doing events. I had a facility for them because I did them all the time when I did PR, 2 film openings in a week, premieres, events. I just did that. There was something different about wanting to support the motherhood journey, to help kids to eliminate the trauma and the impact of unfulfilled lives or parents that hadn't done their inner work.
Mhm.
Uh, Lots of different variables. And I thought an event it's a one and done, but a movement is something people grow with. And that was really it. It's like we can go to weekend retreats. I love them. Weekend events, love them, doing them and being at them. But then there's got to be support afterwards to help people, like the work that you do, the work that I do,
Mhm.
to help people, you know, integrate these new ways of being that are actually old ways of being, right? The old
Yeah.
information, the wisdom to live into it.
Yeah.
So that's what
Yeah.
informed me.
Love it. That's probably why we align so well and get along so well. Because
Yeah.
yeah, it's like I do. I feel like there is a shift, with a lot going on in our world. And people's eyes are being opened with a number of things. And yeah, but
Yes,
same
they
thing. I
are.
feel like I'm here to like, put things in motion too. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's a calling.
Mhm.
It's so interesting too, because I remember doing a lot of, interviews when the march was being planned and people would ask me certain questions. And even like my fiscal sponsor, I had this wonderful fiscal sponsor and she would say, so what's your one thing? What's the one thing? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. Bullying? Like it was just
Mhm.
so interesting because it's a calling.
Yeah.
It's something that you just can't not do.
Yeah. Yeah. So you are medium,
Mhm.
channel, prayer whisperer. So how does all of that spiritual sight inform the way that you see a mother's relationship with her child? And what are you perceiving that most people simply can't see.
Mm. It is a sacred agreement. It's a soul agreement. In my work, I believe that we are souls, right? Eternal souls, eternal beings that live in this human body suit or body temple that houses our soul, and that we have sacred agreements with the people that are the closest with us, and that we come together by divine appointment, and that we are more than just the appearance. And so when children come into our lives, and I have this saying, when a child comes through you or to you, it's a sacred agreement. And the more that you can honor the spirit in the child, the soul of the child, as you honor yourself, the more harmony, the more flourishing happens, the more you can have a conversation, a communication, because you're not looking to own the child. You can't own another being, but you get to be in relationship with them. And a lot of it depends, the quality of that relationship really depends on your own personal growth and unfoldment.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I think that's an important conversation too, because so many women with PCOS are struggling with fertility,
Yes.
issues as well. So, do you see, I mean, you specifically work, with mothers a lot, but even in your work, do you see that, you know, with women that are struggling with fertility and, and kind of how, like you said, how the spiritual self, how the soul can be affected by that and maybe how to move past that even, you know.
Yeah. Well, firstly, I always say to the women and the moms that I work with, you're not being punished. Because oftentimes when women are, I had secondary infertility, and I know it was really hard and sad. So I have a lot of, and I have a child that I adore who I hit the jackpot. So I'm also like, yes. And I would have loved to provide a sibling for her. Um, and so when I work with women that are going through infertility, firstly, I invite them to love themselves, no matter what. And then whatever issues come up, we deal, I will make referrals because, I don't know, I'm not an integrative body worker. So I make referrals to people that understand nutrition. I do talk about, honestly, I do talk about what they eat. What are you eating? I talk about that with what are you eating? What are you putting in your body? What are you drinking? There's that, what are you feeding your mind and feeding your soul? Is it nutrient dense? Is it, or is it like popcorn, which I love? I love popcorn. So, I really do my best to treat it in as loving and nurturing a way as I can. And, I really invite them to look at what chemicals are you putting in your body. Perhaps you need to do a detox.
Yeah.
And then as a hypnotherapist, if that's something that they want to do, we'll go in, a little deeper. So, when somebody sits in front of me, I always tease them. I'm like, do you want to hear everything? Like, are you ready? Cause I think of, I've always said this, like, remember, is it not, that movie with Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise where it's the, service? Is it A Few Good Men? Um,
Oh my gosh.
and
Yeah.
he's needling Jack. He's needling him. Finally, in all of his Jack Nicholson, way of being, he hollers out, "You couldn't handle the truth."
Oh, yes.
Well, I'm
Yes.
not like that. I'm not like
Oh my
that at
gosh.
all. But I have the
Mm.
same level of, are you willing? Because I really believe it's a response. We, each of us, you know, it's like Mission Impossible. If you accept this mission, chew this up and swallow it. But, each of us come into this world. I believe each and every person has a purpose that's inscribed upon their hearts. And the invitation is to fulfill that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that includes our partners, our friends, our children, our animals, the work that we do in the world. So, yeah.
Let's start with loving yourself first. I love that.
Gosh, no one ever tells you, like, I hear teachers say this sometimes, well-meaning, caring people, just love yourself. Oh my God. I used to hear that all the time, like when I was in my 20s and 30s. You've just got to love yourself. And I'd be like, how? What do you do? What does that mean? Is it like I just go somewhere and I'm done? I love myself, right? I'm an elder. I'm in my elder space, right? And so I am, I'm that person that will be really honest with you and say it is a lifelong journey.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
To really love yourself and to sit in that place of love and to feel compelled to support another person in loving themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not linear either, right? There's going to be ups
Absolutely
and downs,
not. Oh my God. Yeah.
the entire time. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you teach the Magdalene pathway,
Yeah.
knowing oneself and standing confidently in one's power. Why is that specifically the medicine mothers need right now? And what does it unlock in how she shows up for her children?
Magdalene, I think the Magdalenes are being called because Magdalene did not stand in front of the room with her arms raised and say, listen to me. She stood there in her fierce strength and said, know yourself. The way through all of your life's, vicissitudes is your heart. So what I teach is not religious, it's spiritual. Because activating the highest level of your nature, especially when you are raising other humans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because little kids, like, remember when you were little, you watched everything that went on.
Yeah.
You listened to everything that all of the people, including your parents, the way they talked to other people, the way they talked to each other, the way they talked to you, the way they talked to themselves. So the Magdalene pathway is really an invitation back to your heart. So you can stand in that place. And like I said, mothers, like, there's so many decisions, like a woman has to make, like, the first decision is if you are single or if you're newly married or in a new relationship, committed relationship, and you see the two lines on that stick, your first decision is, am I going to go forward? And then you have a series of I don't know why relationships in my brain. You have a series, because it is the most, intimate relationship that you can have with yourself and with another human being.
Yeah.
Without any kind of like sexual stuff. It's just like this purity of love, and hard. It's hard. It's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's mysterious, it's mystifying, it's all of it. So there's a series of decisions that mothers need to make. How are you going to birth? What are you going to put in your body? Are you going to go along with what the doctors say? Are you going to birth at home, or are you going to birth at a birthing center? Are you going to take Pitocin, or are you going to do natural? Like, there's, are you going to breastfeed? For moms of boys, are you going to, have a circumcision or not? Like, there's so many decisions that moms are making all the time. If you aren't in touch with your own knowing, with your own wisdom, the decisions that you make will be completely influenced by people who are not with you at 2 a.m. in the morning when your child is vomiting,
Yeah. Yeah.
who aren't really there with you for you.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's, we were just talking, yeah, about kind of cutting out the noise and starting to really listen, to what your body needs and getting to know yourself. I mean, I didn't know myself for years. I didn't listen to my body. I definitely didn't know myself like I do now, I don't even know how to describe that, I think at some point, but, um, yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah, that you bring up a very, very good point there. That's definitely, where it starts. Um,
One of the things I taught my daughter when I became a mom, because I was an older mom, and I had done some I'd done quite a bit of inner work on myself, but I still do, so it's not like it's done.
mhm,
But I made a decision that I wanted my daughter to be in touch with her body, to not ever feel that she had to hug anyone, sit on anyone's lap, or be, listen to somebody other than, her dad and me, and even then to question, and that nobody could touch her body without her permission. I mean, I literally went from the time, because I had her in a sling, and people would come up to me, and she had really curly hair and these big blue eyes and this like olive skin. And people would come up to her, and I would say, you have to ask her if you can touch her
mm,
hair or touch her cheek. And some people were like, that's amazing. And other people were like, what? I'm going to ask a baby or a
yeah,
toddler? And I'd be like, yes, you can't touch her.
yeah, yeah,
And then as she grew up, I would ask her when people would come up to her and talk to her. Again, they had to ask her if they could touch her hair, her back. I was
mm,
like, I was really that, I am that mama. And so I would say to her, how did you feel in your belly after you talked to so and so?
mm,
How do you feel? Is it tight? Is it open? Do you feel happy? Because I wanted her to have that kind of an emotional um, literacy, awareness, vocabulary.
mm, yeah. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Not everybody liked it. I
No.
can tell you
Oh, I'm
they didn't.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure,
But I
but
feel good about that. Yeah.
exactly, yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
sure she's carried that on, through all these years now too, and that's super important for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Um, so as we're recording this, I just got back from my retreat in Costa Rica, and this was something that was brought up was these generational patterns and traumas, that we carry with us, now. So
Hmm.
you speak a lot about that as well, through and healing those patterns through somatic work, hypnotherapy, and spiritual coaching. So what does that healing actually look like in a mother's body and in her children's behavior, when that happens?
What I just described, I think would best encapsulate that,
Hmm.
the courage to step outside of pleasing other people.
Hmm.
It also can look like grief sometimes, right? Because when you do that work, you realize what you didn't receive. I say all the time that the places where you run into power struggles, whether it's in your relationship or when you're a parent and you have that with a child, are the places that you did not receive the nurturing that a child, should receive. And then it gets manifested in a way for you to work it out. So healing can look like it can manifest in different ways. Like when people have enough awareness or when they come to me and they start describing their relationships, whether it's with their partner or their sisters or their parents or their children, we look to see where the patterns. because you'll notice the same thing. You remember when people used to say you date the same person, they just have a different face and a different name, right?
Yes.
That's an indication that there might be some healing work. So, it really looks like, it also looks a lot like letting go of needing to be right, needing to be in control, becoming more willing to negotiate, and then also knowing your own limits.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because when you grow up in a house and you experience a lot of trauma, it can manifest in a lot of different ways. Some people have, I have hardened their hearts, but they have a lot of armoring, right? No one's going to get to them. They got it. I'm good. I don't need to talk about that. Others are, it's my way or the highway. You don't like it? No problem. Just, other people don't have any boundaries. They feel guilty if they say no, if they
Yeah.
act. So working with moms who are raising, their kids, it's really about empowering them to practice. Because if you have a kid who's, let's say, oppositional, what do you have to do? You've got to really stand in your boundaries, or I like to call them limits. You've got to be really clear. You've got to be very specific in your requests.
Yeah.
So it looks many different ways, but mostly really it goes back to the internal stuff, because people can say a lot of stuff, but if you're holding on to all this trauma that has your nervous system dysregulated, just getting still enough to know what you're feeling is a huge accomplishment.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like I said, lesson learned for me too. But and I think that's important for any woman too, right? Mother,
Yes. Oh
maybe
yeah,
trying to be a mother, like whoever it is, right? I mean, that's super, super important.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I work with a number of women that aren't mothers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, I think in our society, one of the other thing, you're not asking me this, but something I'm just going to toss in here is I give my clients a challenge to stop saying I'm sorry.
Oh, yes. We talked about that too in the retreat. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It is just I
Mhm.
it's just shocking. Or when somebody's crying, they're having their feelings and they say I'm sorry, and I think no, no, never ever cry. And and so yes, I always tell the women I work with, stop saying sorry.
Yes, I love that. Uh, you are a sacred activist for bodily sovereignty, clean food, air, water, and informed choice. How does that activism connect to conscious motherhood? And maybe why can't we separate a mother's awakening from the world that she's raising her children in?
Well, I think that uh, a woman who is empowered makes different choices for their children. Someone who's educated and empowered makes different choices. A woman who feels, I've met a lot of moms who did the right thing and their kids were harmed. And so uh, I really believe, going back to, there's no greater source than a woman who is empowered and embodied
Mhm.
for herself and the children in her life. And so I believe it's completely intertwined, right? We are entrusted, first of all, we're entrusted with the ability to give life, even though one might be going through some kind of infertility experience.
Mm.
We are entrusted to create life and destroy life. We have that capability. We also have that capability with projects and relationships and things in our life. So when we have bodily autonomy, we, not someone outside of us, gets to determine what happens to our body and our children's bodies. I believe that choice is something that is paramount, to get to choose what you want to do without punitive response.
Mm.
So I believe that that's every woman's, every mother's right.
Yeah. So good. Um, you also co-authored Balance for Busy Moms, and you've guided many, many women over 25 years. You've brought visibility to movements the way you once brought it to films. So if you had one thing to say to, whether it's the mother listening right now, the soon to be mother, the woman that is trying to be a mother, and maybe feel like they're running on empty, they're disconnected from their own sacred self. What would you like to say to that woman?
You matter. You matter. You're worthy.
Mm,
You are good enough.
mm. That enoughness piece comes
Oh,
up
yeah.
so
I, s-
much, right? Yeah.
I, I heard these words many years ago. I don't think I created them, but I really don't know who said them.
Mhm.
And it started when the Million Mamas movement first came into being. You are loved beyond description, powerful beyond measure, and a force for good in the world.
Mm,
And that's what I would say.
yeah.
Don't question your worth or your value because you matter.
hmm hopefully somebody listening is taking notes because that's the piece I feel like kind of sums it up, and sometimes you might need to write it down, make that your new affirmation, repeat that to yourself, every day. Even I have my clients, because I had a mentor that did this with me, as well. And so I do it with my clients, and I tell them whether they write it out on a piece of paper, or they can make it pretty and print it out and just says, "You are enough," or, "I am
Mm,
enough," however you want to say it, and
mm.
put it on like a mirror, the refrigerator, somewhere where you're going to see it,
Yes. Oh, that's
every day.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
so, maybe it's not the "I am enough" affirmation, maybe it's what you just said, and that might be what people need to have in front of them, maybe their screensaver, on their laptop, like
Yes.
on their phone, whatever it might be. But I think that's beautiful and powerful, and definitely I think sums it up. So, um last question is, how can people
Oh,
connect with you and
oh.
find you? You have your own podcast as well, but yeah, what's the best way for people to find you?
So they can email hello at Wendy Silvers, SILVERS.com with any inquiries. Then go to YouTube and find my YouTube channel, which is Rev Wendy Silvers. I'm on Instagram, Rev Wendy Silvers, I believe. And I have a TikTok channel, but I don't really use it. I need to hire somebody who's like 25 to like
Yeah.
just handle that. And I have a website, wendysilvers.com.
Awesome. And the name of your podcast is?
Oh, the name of my podcast is The Awakened Mother with Rev Wendy.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. Well, thank you so, so much. Thanks for this
Thank you.
conversation. I think, mother, like I said, mother, any woman listening, I think, can get a lot out of that. So thank you
Yes.
for joining
Thank
me.
you. Thank you so much for what you do. And thanks for having me.
Such a deep and inspiring conversation with Reverend Wendy. I'll be sure to link everything in the show notes if you'd like to connect with her. And if you're enjoying the podcast, come join us inside the Healthy Ever After app. It's where we continue the conversation with community, recipes, resources, and exclusive content. Plus, you'll currently be receiving my free Summer Sanity Guide just for joining. The link is in the show notes. And if you loved this episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because healing doesn't come from doing more, it comes from understanding better. I'm sending you so much love, and I'll see you on the next episode of PCOS Unfiltered. Nourish, heal, thrive.